to our main point. You know, we always bring light to important issues here on To The Point, but we also really try to focus on possible solutions. And that's why we feel your pain when a solution just stalls. So tonight we're talking about homelessness and a shelter for 125 people that has sat unused for 8 months now. Several of you have reached out to us asking for an update. So Becca Habegger here once again giving us an update because the county actually gave you an update this week on this, right?
Yeah, you know, those 100 cabins sitting at Florin and Power Inn roads, they're set to open now in June. You know, that's after several delays, in fact. I'm going to, in fact, update you on 3 county shelter projects. One is right here at Florin and Power Inn roads. That's the one we've been talking about. There are 100 of those shelters, those cabins sitting there. They've been sitting there for about 8 months now. Now, about 2.5 miles west at 7001 East Parkway is another site. There's going to be 45 cabins placed there. And then the third safe stay community site is up here on Watt. It's a little bit farther away and it's on a little bit longer of a timeline, Watt Avenue and Roseville Road. So I want to give you an update here on the county's progress at all 3 sites.
Sacramento County is planning 3 so-called safe stay community sites. Each will serve as temporary transitional housing, offering someone a sleeping cabin or safe parking, meant to be a better solution than staying in a tent or on the street, but not permanent. The first site at 8144 Florin Road was originally supposed to open late last summer. 100 cabins were constructed starting late July, able to house up to 125 people, but delayed approval by county supervisors due to concerns some neighbors raised pushed the opening back to November of last year. We checked out the site back in November and it was definitely not open. That's when we talked with Andy Schroeder, who told us he'd like to stay in one of the shelters.
I wouldn't mind. Yeah, I wouldn't mind being involved with that.
At the time, a county spokesperson said the revised opening date was late spring 2023, citing a number of delays due to material supply chain issues, contractor delays, and the overall change in design concept by our on-site operator. So is late spring still the timeline? Well, the county told me this week this site here at Florin Road is now set to open in June. Up to now, the delays have added about $500,000 in costs as the county pays for security to monitor the site 24/7 while it sits unused. Let's check out the second site at 7001 East Parkway. No cabins have been built yet, but 45 of them will eventually sit in part of the parking lot of the current County Department of Health Services building. Originally set to open in early 2023, it got pushed back to late spring and is currently set to open in August. And finally, the site at 4837 Watt Avenue. In November, county supervisors approved the funding to purchase the property, which includes a parking lot and existing building. It's eventually expected to include 140 cabins to house 160 people, with additional space for 50 cars or RVs. It's on a different timeline than the other safe stay community sites, and a county spokesperson told us this week Watt is currently in the design and programming phase, and we'll have a better timeline on the completion of that project once we're done with that. Once completed, the 3 sites will be able to temporarily house about 400 people altogether. That's as more than 9,200 people are experiencing homelessness throughout Sacramento County.
And one of the people who emailed us about the 100 cabins sitting unused at the Florin Road location said it was fenced in with regular chain link fencing, but recently they put up a barrier that's been inserted into the fence holes that you now can't see through the fence anymore. Exactly what are they hiding? Well, indeed, here's how it looked back in November, and here's how it looks now. In fact, I snapped this photo just this morning. So we looked into it, and it turns out the original plan calls for what's called a permanent privacy fence. Plans presented to county supervisors almost a year ago call for a, quote, 7-foot-high perimeter fencing with privacy shading. So this was always in the works. They just finally got around to it between November and this morning, well, a little bit before this morning, of course, but that's when that photo is from. And Alex, a reminder that this story, this update came from viewers reaching out saying, hey, what gives? What's with these cabins? You know, let us know. So we always love hearing from viewers.
Yeah, that's right. We always tell you right into us. Let us know. We do really want to hear your thoughts so we can give you updates just like what Becca did. All right, Becca, thank you so much. We appreciate it.